Most homeless individuals fall into one of 4 or 5 different categories. So of course you have those that become addicted to drugs, they end up on the street because of their drug addiction. You have those that are mentally ill. You also have those that are a combination of both addicted to drugs and also mentally ill. And then you have a fourth bucket where you have people that have generally fallen on hard times. Maybe they lost a loved one, they lost their spouse, and they fall into a state of depression, and so they lose their job. Or they're a senior citizen on fixed income, and their landlord unexpectedly raises their rent, and they just can't make their rent payments, so now they're living in their car. The good news for that fourth bucket is that those individuals are oftentimes the easiest to pull out of homelessness because, one, they generally want help. They usually don't want to stay in that current state of not having a home. So they're looking for help, and they're willing to accept help, and they're willing to follow through and get off the streets. But I want to look at this from actually a different lens here. So oftentimes when we're talking about homelessness, that question is asked, all right, well, how do we prevent people from falling into one of these 4 buckets? And I think that's a great question, and there are great groups out there trying to address it. I think the reality of the situation, though, is that, at least from my perspective, is instead of looking at what causes people to fall into one of these 4 or 5 buckets for homelessness, I look at it into people generally fall into 2 categories that are currently homeless: those that want help and those that do not want help. And from a public resource allocation standpoint, I look at this and I say, we need to focus our limited public resources that we have available on helping those that want help. And to those that don't want help, hey, that's your right. You have the right to refuse help. But that doesn't give you the right to take over entire city blocks, right? That doesn't give you the right to urinate and defecate on city sidewalks. That's just not fair to everyone else. So from my vantage point, and look, I have a tremendous amount of compassion for everyone on a human level, compassion for everyone that is currently homeless, regardless of what got them there. I think we all as humans can appreciate that. We don't want to see anyone stuck in those situations. But from a resource allocation standpoint, our resources are limited. So do we want to dedicate most of our resources on trying to help those that don't want help at all? Or do we want to dedicate those resources to helping folks that actually really do want help and getting them back on their feet?